Yeah.
We got London on the track.
This is all God's doing, man, you can't plan it. But if the devil's in the details, then I'm satanic.
People's Kid, how we doing? It's your boy Kobe, back from our video, and I hope you guys are having a blessed day. Continuing a bit more with some NBA draft content, today I have a surprisingly short video discussing why I believe Dennis Smith Jr., without a doubt, is the most underrated prospect in the draft, and why I personally think that the team that drafts him will be getting a player who can quite easily be the best prospect in hindsight. Also, real quick, thanks again for everybody's support. I see you guys smashing the like button, and I also see you guys subscribing. That means a lot to me, and it means that you guys are really enjoying the content, so let me know what you guys want to see. I'm thinking of making 1 or 2 more NBA draft videos. Let me know in the comments what you guys would want to see about the NBA draft in the upcoming videos. Anyways, with all that being said, let's get into the video. Number 3, he is 100% healthy. So this is a reason I want to put out there right away, because I think there's still a bit of a misconception on Smith's overall prognosis. For those who don't know, Smith tore his ACL in August 2015, just months before his senior season of high school. Similar to the nation's #1 overall prospect in the class of 2016 in Harry Giles, who also busted his knee in 2015, Smith's 5-star status among the elite high school players was never in jeopardy despite the injury, and signed with NC State shortly after. Unlike Harry, however, Dennis was ready for his freshman season from day one, and instantly proved to be the best player on the Wolfpack, averaging 18.1 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, and 6.1 assists per game under former head coach Mark Gottfried. Smith clearly showed all the explosiveness and quickness that made him such an intriguing NBA prospect. Yet, even with a full year of health under his belt, and almost 2 full years past his ACL tear, there are still murmurs about his potential to be an injury risk down the road. If this was a scenario of a player who entered the draft like a Nerlens Noel, who was actually going through rehab at the time of his selection, I could justly see the concern. Hell, even a player like Harry Giles, who looked nowhere near what he played like in high school at Duke this year, I can easily rationalize their hesitation. But Smith's situation is completely different. While I understand teams don't want to get burned by drafting a player who ends up injured, the fact that Smith played an entire season without restriction makes me personally believe he is 100% over his ACL injury, and NBA front offices should treat him as such. Number 2, his on-court weaknesses were magnified by playing on a poorly coached team. Now, I watched a lot of ACC basketball this year, and let me just say, the NC State Wolfpack were the most disappointing team in the conference by far. With an overall record of 15 wins and 17 losses, NC State easily qualified for one of the most underachieving ball clubs in all of college basketball. Despite the expectation to make the NCAA tournament for the 5th time in 6 seasons, the Wolfpack fell flat on their face more times than not when it came time to lace up their shoes. As Dennis himself was guilty of coming up short from time to time in big moments, many scouts believed he could have done more from a leadership and decision-making perspective to get the team back on track. Although I agree to an extent that Dennis could have performed better as a floor general this season, I think it's important to point out how desperate NC State relied on him to make anything happen on offense. There were more than a handful of times this year when Smith's teammates would simply ball watch and wait for Dennis to make a play. The way I see it, the constant pressure for Smith to initiate BO not only correlated heavily with a lot of the low percentage shots he took, but also makes it easy to understand why the Wolfpack fell behind so much. Just poor coaching, plain and simple. And guys, that's just from an X's and O's perspective. If we look at their putrid team defense for a second, the fact that inconsistent effort and discipline on the side were the main causes for their woes prove head coach Mark Gottfried lost the confidence of his club mid-season. That's not to say DSJ deserves a total free pass for his play when he happened to have poor performances. No, rather it's a point of relevant context that I believe has not been recognized by many people who have somewhat dinged Smith for issues largely dependent on this brutal situation. Let's be clear, he played on a crap team. So while there are still legitimate questions to be asked about his point guard moxie, I guarantee you Dennis is licking his chops to play with some better coaching and talent at the next level. Number 1, his upside is as high as any other point guard. Okay, now it's time to really explain the main reason why Smith is the most underrated player in the draft. In truth, it has everything to do with the recent dissociation of Smith by scouts in relation to the other top point guards. Just taking into account the countless mock drafts projecting where each player will be headed, nearly all have Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, and De'Aaron Fox selected within the top 5. Breaking down the top point guards in tiers, I'd say Fultz, Ball, and Fox are considered tier 1, whereas Francis Frank Ntilikina and Dennis Smith follow in tier 2. Although in reality this gap is only by a few picks since Smith's projection looks to be around the top 10, I believe the clear separation upside some believe exists between Dennis and these other 3 point guards is highly debatable. First, if we compare the stats between all 4 in this past college basketball season, there is no discernible gap to claim their superiority over Smith. Now I understand playing the statistics game is a bit dangerous because these players played against different teams and different conferences, but it's not like Smith was playing in some weak-ass conference like some Gonzaga prospect. In fact, I personally witnessed the man drop 32 points on the road to give Duke their only home loss of the season. Let me tell you, this guy is legit. Moving to my second point, by taking a second to break down Dennis's overall potential from an eye test perspective, it is fair to debate why exactly these 3 point guards receive more hype. Smith is lightning quick, a great scorer, creative finisher, improving shooter, and capable defender. When he wants to be, of course. I realize he might not be as tall as Lonzo, or as long as Fultz, but how much does that really matter when it's clear he has all the tools and ability to be another great scoring point guard in the NBA? Because at the end of the day, his profile really does fit the model of success for guards in the league present day. While he may never be able to control the pace of the game like Chris Paul or John Wall, his scoring skill set gives him ample room to develop into a score-first point guard, similar to Reggie Jackson or Damian Lillard at his absolute peak projection. So if your player comp looks like that dude from Portland, then how much higher can the upside of Lonzo Ball or Markelle Fultz really be? In other words, teams drafting at the lower end of the lottery have the opportunity for the near same value and upside as teams at the top if they are looking for a point guard. Thus, it is for that reason, as well as the other reasons previously mentioned, that make Dennis Smith to me the most underrated prospect in the 2017 NBA draft. And yeah, so that's the video, guys. I know it was a bit on the shorter end. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me hear some thoughts on what team should draft Smith in terms of situation and opportunity. I'd love to hear what you guys got to say. With all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're still here, you're definitely a real one. I'll catch you all soon. Peace out.
Yeah.